Hello and welcome to the second pillar of the HCA. So last time we did our first pillar together and that was movement strategies. So we're moving on to the second one of 4. And these really are the HCA's education and experiences. The pillars are what it's all built on. It's built upon a foundation of holistic, health promoting, positive and proactive evidence-based teachings and techniques. So there are the different pillars and they bring out different skills and techniques and teachings for each one. And they all contribute to living a really authentic life that feels good from the inside out, which naturally just progresses into this well of well-being, this deep nourishment from within. So each of the pillars contribute in a different way to supporting us holistically and to really uplifting our well-being and really enhancing that well-being. So we're going down the track and we can pull all these different strategies into that to really support us. So very excited to be talking about pillar number 2. As I said last time, we were looking at pillar number 1, which was all about movement. And it was not just necessarily exercise, but connecting to the body in a different way. So really using it to release tension, mentally, physically, and emotionally, to connect in a way that is that connects us to our spirituality as well. So that movement is very holistic in nature and it's a really great way to bring in mindfulness. So if you're interested in hearing about that pillar 1, about the movement strategies, about connecting to our body in a really nourishing way that's different than any exercise that you're going to do, go check out that last recording. The previous one is on the HCA podcast as well. And really what these are looking at is working with our nervous system. So that's a way to either enliven our nervous system if we need more energy, and it's a way to calm and regulate our nervous system. So we're bringing that balance in because really our nervous system is where our wellness really springs from. And if we can become aware of that and then use effective strategies that are going to support us, we're going to be on the right track and we're going to be feeling really, really good. So I really thought it was an important place to start with pillar 1 being about the body, because we need to connect to the body first. We need to start to ground down and be in our body. And now with pillar 2, we can progress to the mind, to what I've called and what I've termed cognitive activities. But before we get into that, right now, let's just do a little mindfulness together, just because it feels so good and this is what it's all about, really. So what I'd like you to do is get really comfortable where you are. So whether you're sitting, lying, or even if you're doing something else whilst listening to this, start to get more comfortable in your body. So think about how you're standing or sitting or lying, finding a more comfortable position for the spine, perhaps lengthening that longer, finding some alignment and balance between both sides. And just starting to connect with our breath. So breathing in, drawing a breath in through the nose, filling up our body with our breath. And this might be the first time that we're connecting with our breath for today. So breathe it all in. And then slowly, mindfully, just exhale the breath out. I'm just doing that for a few rounds. So breathing in all that your day has encompassed. Every interaction, every thought, every emotion, every little bit of your day. Breathe it all in. And exhalation, breathe it all out. Sigh out your entire day using the breath. Feeling that release from our muscles, from our body. Let's do it one more time. Breathe in your day. Exhale, release. So, we've tuned into our body. We've tuned into our breath. We've allowed our mind to focus and land on the breath and our body. So we've become really present in exactly what we're doing now. We've used the body, the mind, the breath to become all in alignment. to help us become present. So for the next, set a little intention for our time together now. So for the next 45 minutes or so, we're here to slow down. We're here to learn some things to help us be well in our mind, in our body, and happy in our heart. So just setting that intention to soak in some knowledge, soak in some tips and techniques and some teachings, and just to let go of your day, just to get into this space that feels really good. You're doing something for yourself that's going to be really helpful for the next day, for the next week, for the rest of your life. So connecting to that, feeling really good because you're doing something good for yourself. Or whether you're listening to this right now or listening to it as a recording, well done, congratulations for being here and just giving yourself this space and this time and this opportunity to deepen your wellness and enhance your health. So I want to start off with a quote that I love that really, I think, sums up what this cognitive activity pillar is all about. And it's a Chinese proverb, and it says, tension is who you think you should be, while relaxation is who you are. Relaxation is who you are. So you might even think of some examples of times when you felt stress or felt that tension and it just hasn't felt right. It's felt forced, and it's just put all this excess strain and stress on your body, on your mind. It might have felt really jagged if you're giving a presentation or something, or trying to do something, just didn't really feel right because you're really trying. But when we think of relaxation, we sink into ourselves a bit more. And when we do this, which is really what I love about it, is we're actually tapping into this part of our nervous system called the ventral vagal, part of the polyvagal theory, where we're accessing higher parts of our brain functioning. We're accessing our executive functioning. And this part of the brain, it's our frontal lobe. You can think we're accessing these parts that help us think clearer, that help us to see the big picture, and we're not all caught up in this stress and this tangle and this worry. When we're in this state of relaxation, so in the nervous system, it's the parasympathetic nervous system state. It's our rest and digest. It's our relaxation response. And we can do lots of strategies to get in there. And that's what we're really trying to do here. We're trying to train our nervous system, train and rewire our brains and bodies to function in this higher state. So we can just live life from this state. And if we get taken out of it, which we do because that's life and we're just humans, we're able to be aware and then choose strategies or be able to access these higher parts of our brain to make decisions to help us stay on that path that we want to go, that we want to be on, and create this life. That's how we create this life that we love, by being able to have this space and this space between our response, space between our reactions, so we can choose how we want to be, how we want to feel, what we want to think. And if, our thoughts are spiraling out of control, or whatever it is, it's a really hard, heavy emotion, we're able to use our mind, use mindfulness to become aware of and bring in some compassion, bring in some gratitude, to be able to reframe. So while Pillar 1 is all about the body, connecting with the body, which is so essential, the mind is also so powerful to use, and we really should be tapping into its potential. Rather than letting it run us or run the show or run our life, we take back control of our mind and we're using it to our advantage. So it's very exciting to think that we can, use our brain in the way we want, and we can access these higher states, and we can use it in the best way, whether that's, deciding health goals and being able to stay with them, or it's something that you really are focused on with work or with study or in relationships, socially as well. We can just be accessing that higher part of our brain to be able to be making these good choices. So another thing about that quote that I really love about being relaxation is who you are. think about someone that's really relaxed and just happy, how much we can connect with them. So it's just better socially, and we're social animals and we need to connect and be with each other. So think about yourself in that relaxed state of how you are with others and how other people are when they're in that relaxed response. So we're really looking at teachings, we're looking at techniques, internal technologies to help us get into that relaxation response no matter what. And we can do it quicker and we can get there faster if we fall out of it, which we will because we're human, as I said, and that's okay. So we're really moving away from this hustle culture, this grind into the ground. We know that's not sustainable. And we know if we want to be well mentally and physically and have really thriving relationships and thrive at work, we need to be able to slow down and rest. That will help us with that action and really putting things out into the world. So that hustle culture is just not sustainable anymore. We need a new way of being. And this is what it's all about. Accessing this high part of our brain, being relaxed, but being really productive and effective and efficient. We're not, relax isn't just lazing out, vegging out on the couch, watching Netflix. It's being really productive in whatever you're doing. So not being able to relax is actually one of the biggest causes of disease and illness and sickness in our culture, whether that's mentally or physically. Just this stress is causing us all this dis-ease. So we want to flip that narrative and be relaxed and vital and energetic and passionate, but allowing space for when those negative emotions come in. So let's talk a little bit about because it's called cognitive activity. So what does cognition actually mean? We won't go too much into this because it can get quite heavy. So just lightly, cognition is our mental processes. It's our thinking. So there's many different types of thinking and different types of mental processes. So from knowing something to remembering to judging, all of these are different types of mental processes that make up our cognition. And there's these higher level functions as well. And this is planning. Think of someone that they've got all these plans laid out. They're very organized. You're able to solve problems. But it's also creativity as well. Creativity is a higher part of our brain where we can flip solutions and we can find creative ways to solve issues and problems. So creativity, we can't access creativity when we're stressed. And some of the best ideas and most, inspiring ideas come from our creativity and when we're relaxed and playing. And so what else is linked with cognition and these higher level cognitive skills is self-regulation. And wellness is really, when we look at the definition of wellness, I believe it really empowers and enables us to become our best self. Because wellness is, first of all, being aware of ourselves holistically, aware of our life, aware of how we are, aware of how we think, aware of how we react. Being aware is number one. And then the second part of the wellness definition is being able to make choices that are aligned, that lead to healthy, fulfilling, meaningful, satisfying, uplifting, sustainable, all of these good things, this kind of life. So wellness, that's one of the things we really define what wellness is. So it's about being aware. Awareness is number one. And then number two is making choices that lead to a healthy and fulfilling life. And this is what enables us and empowers us to live out our healthiest, happiest, and highest self. So we need this higher order thinking to get us there. So executive function, let's just get really clear. It's a set of mental skills that include your working memory, being able to think flexibly and have that self-control and self-regulation. So we use these skills every day. It's not something we really think about. We're only bringing awareness to this stuff now as we talk about it, or unless you've gone into it before. But we use these skills every day to just manage our day-to-day life, to get us from work to home, to cook breakfast and get the shopping list together and arrange social things. So we're using these executive functions all the time. But if we have impairments with them, it can make it really hard to focus, to follow directions, and handle our emotions. And when we're stressed and tired, these executive functions, these higher order thinking skills, go offline. And then we can't access this ability to handle our emotions, or think clearly, or know what the next step is, or we can't focus. So we need to get back into that relaxation state to be able to access these higher brain functions. So these skills, these mental skills, really help us to set goals, and then we can really effectively manage change, we can plan, and we can really get things done. As I said, it's not just about the cold, hard, like planning, organizing. It's also about the creativity as well. So our high cognitive skills, they really give us control over ourselves, and they help us coordinate coordinate our life really, and help us get to where we want to go. And we're all moving through our day, we're completing tasks, we're functioning in productive ways thanks to these skills, thanks to these mental processes. So there's a metaphor for it where it's called like the CEO of your brain, or your brain's management system. Like, this is kind of a business metaphor, because really your executive function monitors all the different parts of you, of your life, and it puts them all together so you can move forward toward your goals, to do what you want to do, just like a business would, as effectively and efficiently as possible. So it's really how we organize, plan, and execute our plans, and it's guided by our executive high functioning skills. So really, pillar number 2 is, as I said, cognitive activities. And these allow us to regulate our nervous system, calm and clear the mind, as well as tap into our highest mental performance and powers. So very clearing, calming, whilst promoting this awesome efficiency and effectiveness and productivity that feels really good. So it's a great space to be in, really, whether you're working or whatever it is. So just to backtrack a little, I guess, why are we doing this? When we're looking at wellness, we really need to tap into our why. So why is wellness important to us? And these are all going to be unique. They're going to be different for each person. We all have different values and beliefs. And we're in different situations. We're in different life situations. So your wellness why could change. But one of the cognitive activities is really looking at your wellness why and creating this why if you're not sure. It can take some reflection, and it can take some time to really find it, to find that like flame, that fire inside, like, why is this important to you? What is your motivation? And we can have many reasons, or we might just have one. Maybe it's just to see what potential you're made out of. So it's exciting to think about our wellness why, and to keep returning back to that again and again and again, especially when times get tough and we fall off the bandwagon, or when life gets busy, we come back to that wellness why. And that's why it's so important to have your own definition and your own meaning. Because, I could say a million things, and if they don't resonate, they're not going to stick. They need to come from you, they need to come from inside, and they need to be really tapped in to make change and to stick with it and to motivate you when times get tough, which we all know that happens. So your wellness why are you doing it? Maybe you can use that and take that away from this webinar. Take some time out of your day over the next week or so just to think about, why is looking after myself so important to me? What is it going to do for me? What are the consequences if I don't look after myself, if I don't prioritize my health and well-being? So really diving into that's super powerful. And I come back to this time and time again. Sometimes it changes, but really I just have that one cement that I'm like, yes, that keeps you on track and really has got me to where I am now and why I'm so passionate about teaching it. Maybe you feel the same. So let's get into now. Executive functions really, we're looking at our behavior. So when our executive functioning isn't working as well as it could be, our behavior is less controlled than we might want it to be. So really we're looking at mastering our mind to master our health, to master our life. Because we all have the potential to develop these skills, and our weaknesses can be supported and our strengths can be strengthened, and our potential can be revealed. I was going to say exposed, but exposed sounds weird. Revealed. So weaknesses supported, strengths strengthened. And we can develop these skills because of neuroplasticity, because of the brain's ability to change and to rewire and to create new neural connections. So the brain is an incredible organ that has the ability to change throughout our life. So they used to just think you got to a certain age and it would stop. But we know now that it's always changing in response to our thoughts, the environment. So we have the ability to direct that change and that flow with our brain, and doing things like meditation, doing things like breathing, mindfulness, movement, eating healthily, sleeping, all those good things that we know we're meant to be doing. This is what's going to create those really positive neural connections. So we're looking at making these higher order thinking patterns and skills that allow us, that help us become our healthiest, happiest, and highest self. So it's really down to our physiology where this is all taking place within us. So it's pretty cool. We really want to make the best use of our brains. This is what it's about, making the best use of our brains. So not taking them for granted, or we're just using them to our advantage. So we all have the potential to develop these skills, but exposure to toxic stress really disrupts and inhibits the architecture of our brain and how it is wired. And this really impairs the development of this higher functioning and these skills. So we look at things that we can do. So having a growth promoting environment. And this can be so different, and there's so many examples that can be really growth promoting. So this could be an area if you're studying. It could be like natural environments as well, like the beach or the park, or it could be the gym where you're working on these different movements. It could just be a yoga studio. It could be a special place in your home. Looking at environments that promote this growth. But we need to be relaxed. We need to be able to be in this space where we're relaxed. Doesn't mean we're not challenged, because when we look at the flow cycle, which is part of what I teach for cognitive activities in the 12-month program, the flow cycle we really dive into, because it's not just about being in flow all the time. There's these different stages that we go through. So there's a part that's actually struggle. We need that struggle. We need that challenge to be in flow state. It's part of the cycle. It's part of the process. We think about the seasons. Like, we're not always in summer all the time. We need winter, and we need spring, and we need autumn. We need these different phases, because it's just part of nature, and we are part of nature. So what the HCA really teaches, we have this, wherever it is, we really work hard on having this growth promoting environment, this growth promoting space for people to explore, for people to learn. Program sessions, workshops, all that promote this positive neural development that hardwires our brain and our body for success, for health, for happiness, for well-being. And it takes time to have these neural connections, to start wiring these together. Because we can think of the brain like a city. So if we really want to, develop, we have the plans that we want for a city. It's going to take a while to build the roads and construct the buildings. It just takes time. And that's the same with our physiology as well. It just takes time to build. That's why we need to practice time and time again. When we don't feel like it, that's when we want to practice to really help build those neural connections. So our minds play a absolutely critical and crucial role, and they really contribute to whether we are healthy or not, because we know everything is connected. The HCA is all about, it's about holistic. It's about the connections that we have. It's not just one thing on its own. It's how this influences that and how that impacts on that, and looking at those things. So we focus on the mind because we know it affects our body, our physical being, the organs, our immunity. The mind affects our emotions and how we feel. It affects our relationships that we have to ourselves, to others, the environment. The mind affects our motivation, our decision making. So the mind, we can really work with the mind to boost all areas of our health and well-being. Really experience lifelong benefits in these areas. So we really want to have positive behaviors that allow us to make healthy choices for ourselves, for our families, for our workplace, especially if we're in more of a management leadership role. We can be in that calm, clear headspace to be able to make the best decisions for ourselves and for our team, for our business, for our workplace, as I said, for our family. So let's go into, we have about 15 minutes, 20 minutes left of time together. So let's go into some actual cognitive activities that I actually teach in the programs. So these programs, there's a 12-month one, there's a 10-week one. You can get a one-off session or, a bundle together, because there's a whole curriculum of the pillars that are all put together in these programs. And whether your business or your organization or for yourself, if it's a one-on-one, depending who you are and what goals you have, the situation you're in, the environment you're in, some are going to be more suitable and applicable for that. So we're just going to go into 3. There is so many though in in the whole curriculum that we could go into. So we're just going to do a few simple ones. I could talk about them so much though. I just love all the different ones. The flow cycle was another one that is very interesting to get into, the intricacies of that and how it applies to us and our health. So let's do, the first one is a mindful check-in and connect. So there's a graph that goes with this that I like to show. It's like this, if you can imagine this like squiggly line that's starting down and it goes on a diagonal, it goes all the way up like a snake, points upwards, and I use 2 different kind of ways to put it. It's either 0 to 10 or it's from 0 to 100% or higher, depending what you like better, whether you like 1 out of 10 or the percentages out of 100 plus. It's your own personal preference. But the mindful check-in is we do it in 2 different ways. So we use the skill of interoception, which is where we sense the internal state of our body to check in with how we're going right at that present moment. And from there, we can really respond rather than react. We are able to see the situation and ourselves, how we're acting more clearly, and we can really choose effective action that's going to make us healthy and happy in the long run. We just engage with life in a more healthier, satisfying way, and we really can grow beyond our limits, and we can step into that highest version of ourselves when we're continually checking in. So this is the first part of wellness. As I said at the start, wellness, the first part is about being aware. So this is really cultivating that awareness skill, and it just has made the biggest difference to me personally. It creates this language around how we're feeling. That's really helpful to have with other people in your life. So how it works is 0 to 10, or the percentage up to 100% plus. So 0 is like crisis mode, where you need help, you need to reach out, you need to do something right now, because it's just all gone to shit. 20% is like, or 2 out of 10 is you're struggling, really struggling here, you can't manage. 40% or 4 out of 10 is you're just feeling really unsettled, you just don't feel quite right. 6 out of 10 or 60% is capable. You're doing everything well, you're surviving, and you're handling things pretty well, ticking things off your list, getting things done. 80% or 8 out of 10 is thriving. Now this is where you're like just on the ball, everything's just going so well, you're like kicking goals, feeling excellent. And maybe you can take on more risk at this stage. You feel like you can handle a little bit more. You feel really good. And then we get into, 10 out of 10 or 100% is just you're excelling. It's just absolutely fabulous. And then we can go above that, because we really want to expand we don't want to have limits on ourselves and on our mind. And if we just say 10 out of 10 is the highest we can go, or 100%, no, we want to expand and see how far we can take it. So maybe we're above 10 out of 10. Maybe we're above 100% to 120 or 200%. So with that in mind, the scale in mind, we do it with our body, and we check in with our mind, both out of 10 or the 100%. So let's just do physical first. So the physical, you can think about how your digestion's going, if you've got a headache, or how your mind, if it's feeling nice and relaxed, your muscles, how they're feeling, if they're painful or aching or tight or tense, or maybe they're feeling really good, really strong, really supple. Thinking about if you have any cravings for food can be physical as well, how your appetite's going, how your skin's going, bloating, sleep, menstrual cycles can all go into this, how your breathing's going. Even your energy can go into the physical, so if you're feeling energized or maybe feeling flat. So thinking about how our physical body is functioning, or how your physical body is feeling. You feel really strong, maybe you feel really tired. Just checking in with that and giving yourself a ranking or a rating out of 10. So you can do it now. Checking in, closing the eyes helps with this interoception and going inward. So just checking in, noticing maybe the head and scanning down the body. How's the body feeling? And once you have that score, one of the most important things with this is that we don't judge the number that we have. The number is really, it's not irrelevant, but the number doesn't matter as much as what we do with it. So if we're down in, 2 or 3 out of 10, what are you going to do with that number? The most important thing is choosing supportive, effective action next. And that's where our higher cognitive skills are coming into play. Can we choose action and follow through with this action to support us at whatever level we're at? So maybe if your body is feeling tired, in pain, or it's winter now, everyone I feel like around me is getting sick, so maybe you're starting to feel a bit sick. What can you do to support yourself when you're at those lower numbers, or if you're at a 5, or if you're at a 6, maybe you need more rest. Maybe you need to say no to a social outing or something like that. What do you need? And you intuitively know, you do know what you need to do to support yourself. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you haven't been exercising as much as your body needs. And you actually need to go and do something like that to boost you back up. Do some strength exercising, do some stretching, some yoga. But if you're up at the other end of the scale, you're an 8, you're a 9, you're a 10, just putting some space between that as well and observing and maybe going, why maybe? How am I here? What have I been doing to get here, and how can I stay here or go further? How can I support myself to go further? Okay, I'm at an 8. Is, going out on the weekend and drinking lots of beers, is that going to help me stay at this level? And is that what I really want to do? Or is maybe having 1 glass of wine and just really enjoying it and having an early night's sleep and then getting up in the morning, is that going to make you feel better and get you up to 12 out of 10? That's just me personally. As I said, we're all different. So how you support yourself and enhance yourself and take you up to the next level is going to be really individual to you and unique to you. And that's where it becomes really fun as well. And if we're working one-on-one or with a group, that's what we kind of really start to look at. How can you support yourself in a unique way that feels really authentic to you, that you enjoy, that you connect with? It's not just this, tick list online that's just very general. We really get into what's going to support you, where you are at your age, at your certain point in life with what's happening. We're all so unique. And we really need to acknowledge that and celebrate that as well, because it's a great thing. So that's the physical side. We do the check-in with the physical, and then we do a check-in with the mental. So when we think about mental, are you feeling, how are your thoughts going? How's your mind feeling? Do you feel really scattered and all over the place? Or do you feel really focused and zoned in? Do you have a really positive and optimistic state of mind? Or maybe not, maybe more negative, maybe it's spiraling. Does it feel vague or maybe really productive? Do you feel really distracted maybe? Does it feel maybe your mind feels really overwhelmed or anxious or depressed, or maybe you've got some self-doubt going on? Is that inner critic really loud? How is your stress levels going? Maybe you feel really logical. Maybe your mind feels very creative. Maybe it feels like it's got all these amazing ideas. Maybe you feel very supported in your mind, like the universe is supporting you, like all of this good stuff is happening. Maybe you feel very motivated and in flow and like things are just really easy. Maybe we're looking to the future and we have this really big perspective, or maybe we're really narrow-minded and just focused on one thing, whether that's a problem or a solution. So we can really start to become aware of our mind and our thinking patterns and how that is right now. We really want to do it. So with these check-ins, it's right now. It's not how we've been feeling, it's right now at this point in time. And that's when it's going to be the most powerful. So right now, if you'd like to, I invite you to close your eyes and just check in for a moment with how your mind is feeling and give it a rating out of 10. So again, it doesn't matter what the number is. Just the same with the physical. It's not any different. It's funny that, when people break their arm, we are so quick, break their arm or they feel sick or something, we're so quick to go, oh, are you okay? Like, what can I do? Take the day off, like all of this stuff, so supportive. But when it's our mental state, we kind of just push on. and we don't have that same supportive reaction as we do with the physical. But I want to start changing that narrative. And if it's more, our mental state is more down the lower end of the scale, how can we support it? Can you take some things off your to-do list? Or maybe you should make a to-do list. Maybe you should just go to bed early. Just one of the most productive things we can do is to relax sometimes and just not try to do more. It's just to take a brain break. So important. So, or if it's up the other end of the scale, maybe it's feeling really good. Maybe you could do some writing or something creative, or you could, really use that and tap into that higher level that it is at that point in time. Really use your mental space and your mental thinking. Engage it, use it, have fun with it, and enjoy it when it's up there, and that will help just boost it up even higher. So with the check-in, we can do it. I usually just do the physical and the mental, but of course we can do it with the emotional, with our spiritual. We can do it with other dimensions of health. Emotion, I sometimes put in with the mental as well. So how you're feeling, like if you're feeling frustrated, angry, sad, happy, they can kind of go with mental if you like to as well. Or you can just do an overall check-in, but using that throughout your day. How am I feeling when I wake up? Checking in again at lunchtime or when you've finished work. Or just knowing, at that 3 o'clock stage, just going, I've been having a diary or something, and I've been filling it in my check-ins, and every time at 3 o'clock I'm like a 3. Okay, that. Maybe that's just how you feel at that time, and then when you get home, it comes back up. So just starting to be aware of our patterns without actually having to do anything about it. Just being aware of our patterns and how we are is enough to give us some grace and some ease, and just that's well-being in itself. So how are we wired is another cognitive activity that I like to get into. So we won't go into it too much here, but just to give a general overview, is our nervous system is in 2 different parts. So there's the sympathetic response and there's the parasympathetic response. The sympathetic, you can think of it like the gas pedal. It's just what makes us go. It's what makes us get things done and take action, and it's more of that stress mode. Okay, parasympathetic response is our relaxation, and that is like our brake pedal. So we can really slow down if we need to. We can calm down if we need to, or we can speed up. We're more in control in the parasympathetic response. The gas pedals just go. And in this response, our heart rate and blood pressure goes up, our muscles contract and tighten because we're taking action. So our body's getting ready to take action. Our immunity, fertility, digestion, these things get put on hold because they're longer term projects. They're not for the short term, because the short term we're trying to act. We have to move, we have to do something. So we're, using more of the energy, circulating more of the blood to our muscles, getting that ready to go, rather than looking after our digestion, our fertility, our immunity. And that is where, for me personally, my digestion was just in a horrible state because I was just in this gas pedal response all the time, and I couldn't get out of it. And unfortunately, many of us in the modern Western world are living in this state, and we don't know how to get out of it. We don't know how to slow ourselves down and get into the parasympathetic, into the brake, where we can just switch off, we can relax, we can let go and access those higher parts of our brain. So in the gas pedal, our cognitive abilities actually shut down. So the front part of the frontal lobe, they're offline, because when we're in that stress response, we're not thinking, we're not engaging the long-term planning and being creative. We're just trying to survive. So those 2 different parts of the nervous system, you can think about them in the gas pedal, which you're just trying to survive. The brake pedal is more where we thrive. And that's what we want to. We want to be able to be aware when we're in that gas pedal, and how can we switch into parasympathetic? How can we slow down, relax, access those higher parts of our brain, but still be really productive without shutting off, and just zonking out on the lounge? That's not what we're talking about when it's a relaxation response. So, in the cognitive activities, there's more to that. It's really great to get into, to learn more about that. And then all the kind of strategies, the techniques that we do are about rewiring our neural exercises, especially the movement strategies. But the cognitive activities are as well as in Pillar 3 and Pillar 4, which we're going to get into at another live webinar. So the last kind of one I want to touch on, another cognitive activity, because we're using our planning, our evaluating, our reflecting skills, these higher brain skills, is buckets. So we can think about holistically our health in the form of buckets. And I use it for the body, the mind, and the heart. Now, if your bucket's full, this is where you're feeling a bucket full of health and well-being. And if it overflows, it's going to go into all areas of your life, and it's going to fill other people's buckets. But if your bucket's low, you're going to be trying to take it from other people. And that's where we get sick, illness, mentally, physically, all of the above. So boosting your buckets is a cognitive activity where you take time to reflect on what fills each bucket and how you can implement that into your life, as well as reflecting, am I doing these things that fill my bucket up daily, monthly, or not enough? And we can make a plan and check in regularly. We can think flexibly how to make implement into our life more effectively. So we think about the body bucket as what makes our physical body feel strong, feel energized, feel pain-free, just feel really good physically. What are the things that fill up your body bucket? And everyone's going to be different, but we are going to have some, obviously some common things as well. The mind is what makes your mind feel really calm and boosts those positive emotions. So what fills your mental and emotional bucket up? And your heart, super, super important, because we're not going to access those higher levels of well-being without this heart bucket. And the heart bucket is what lifts your spirit, what feeds your soul, what nourishes your soul, and what makes your heart just really happy. It gives this other depth to our life. It gives more meaning to our life. And this is what really, fortifies and strengthens our immunity, our relationships, our will to live, and our drive and our passion. So the heart bucket is very powerful to start to work with, to reflect on, and to start implementing, and making sure that you're filling up these buckets. And if they get a bit low, okay, how can I support myself to fill that bucket up? And then you can think of how you can fill up other people's buckets as well, their heart bucket, their mind bucket, their body bucket. Maybe you can start to recognize other people in your life, if their buckets are low, you can start being there for them in that way too. So there are 3 kind of strategies, but we went into a lot more in this pillar. So we kind of defined what wellness was. We looked at our wellness why. We looked at the check-ins physically and mentally, how we're wired, the gas pedal and the brake pedal, being able to recognize the two and why it's important to be able to move into that brake pedal, and the buckets. So the buckets we can think of like our non-negotiables as well. So that's kind of all we have time for tonight. And again, these are part of the HCA's wellness, experience and education curriculum. So the pillars, this is what the curriculum is really built on. This is the foundation of all all of these teachings and techniques, these strategies to really help you be well in your body, in your mind, in your heart, to be able to live this life that you know is inside you, and you know that it's there, and it makes you happy and it makes you excited, maybe a little scared as well, really to help you thrive. These 4 pillars are what is going to anchor you and support you into creating this life that you love. So if this really resonates with you, if you want to learn more, if you want to work with me one-on-one, or I do stuff with retreats and for sessions, workshops, speaking presentations, please reach out, and we can work out a way to have this curriculum really suit you or your group or your team. So workplace programs, there's the 10-week one, there's a bundle of sessions, and there's the 12-month one as well. So you can find out all of these more details on my website. There's wellness articles on there as well. There's some really cool online resources. There's a free wellness program on there that's very holistic in nature. It's got movement, it's got simple daily strategies, and it's got meditations on there. It's got some breath work on there. So that's all on the website. And there's some brochures you can have a look at as well that has more information. Also, make sure you check out the podcast, the Health Coach Approach with Emma. It's on Spotify, on the Apple podcast. Lots of different topics we dive into, and so many amazing guests as well from a variety of backgrounds, like health professionals or sport. Really, really cool. So check out all of that stuff, and Instagram, of course, at the HCA_ with Emma, just to keep reminding us constantly that our wellness matters and it should be a priority. And when we have better health, everything else just comes alive more. So really prioritizing that. Make this, we're nearly halfway through the year. Maybe you're doing a little midway point of the year and going, this is what I'm going to focus on. Especially during winter, we can make that commitment to ourselves and just see how much of a difference it makes to us and to our whole life. So please reach out. I would love to hear from you. Other than that, thank you for joining me, for your time, for your attention, for your energy. I really appreciate it, and I hope you got something out of it. So until next time, stay safe and stay well, and look after yourself and each other. Bye.